Medtronic technologies impacted more than 72 million people in the last year, equating to 2 people every second. Harnessing the power of technology to take healthcare further, each technology has unique benefits designed to serve patients. The goal of this program is to get closer to the patient and delve into the challenges and impact of each technology in practice. This is the Medtronic MedEd learning experience. HealthCast Vital Sync remote patient monitoring and the HealthCast Vital Sync remote patient monitoring ventilation dashboard should not be used as the sole basis for diagnosis or therapy and is intended only as an adjunct in patient assessment. Medtronic's medical education programs are offered to provide attendees education on the FDA, cleared indications and use of our products when applicable. The contents and conclusions of the following program are solely those of the speakers, unless otherwise cited. The speakers are responsible for all content and any necessary permissions. The speakers received funding from Covidian LP, a Medtronic company, for this speaking engagement. For this segment of the series, a discussion around acute care and wearable technology, integration into clinical practice. To help provide insight into this topic is Dr. Ashish Khanna, Director of Perioperative Outcomes and Informatics Collaborative at Wake Forest University School of Medicine.
I want to talk to you all a little bit around perceptions of continuous vital signs monitoring. It's important to understand what the provider perceptions are. The provider perceptions are that it's easiest to deal with SpO2 alarms. This is data from our continuous monitoring systems here, where up to 50% of providers said that this was the one alarm that they respond to and they were able to correct, right? Because they just dial up the supplemental oxygen and everyone's happy. They still struggle with respiratory rate and heart rate. And one of the reasons there is that there is no protocolized plan built around what I'm going to do when I see an uptrend or a downtrend in respiratory rate and heart rate. And that's where institutions, when they implement wireless wearable technology, have to build in protocols to help providers on the floor deal with both tachypnea and tachycardia, or bradypnea and bradycardia. And this is our nursing survey here. We asked our nurses and what their perceptions around different continuous vital signs alarms were. And again, respiratory rate stood out as the one alarm where there was most confusion, because most of them felt it was a false alarm, but it was also the one where a lot of them still felt that it was an alarm that they get concerned about. Then a lot of them also felt, that this was the one alarm that they receive alarms for all the time. So the signal here tells me that they're worried about respiratory rate. They don't accurately understand respiratory rate and its significance. They feel it's a false alarm because they feel it's not appropriately measured by the devices that are being used to measure it. And that's where it's an opportunity for us to intervene and educate around respiratory rate. We're also asking our patients what they feel about continuous monitoring. So our patients, when they leave the hospital, get this survey sent to them, which actually talks about, would you want to be continuously monitored? How did you feel about the device you were wearing, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that part is really, really important. In the end, this is about the patients. They should know that they should probably demand continuous wireless wearable monitoring, and we should be able to understand their perceptions because they are the ultimate consumer here. Finally, it's not all about just blood pressure and heart rate. I think mobility is also going to emerge as a cardinal vital sign. We have been able to parse out our mobility data to really understand what patients are sitting, standing, laying in bed, and mobilizing. And we have millions of posture readings that we've collected with our monitoring system. And this that we just published in the JAMA is a retrospective data set from 9,000 patients at Wake Forest and our mobility technology. And we've seen that there was nearly a 30% reduction in a composite of poor outcomes, including death, for every 4 minutes per hour of mobilization. So mobilization goes hand in hand with all of the poor cardiorespiratory vital signs. It needs to be a cardinal part of future monitoring technology. And then, we wear all of these devices. Let's also form a continuum where we are able to remotely monitor patients in the true sense of the word and provide them technology that they wear in the hospital, and then let them go home with it, let them collect the data, transmit the data, healthcare providers to evaluate the data, and then to intervene. And that would be remote monitoring in its purest form. Our colleagues in Charlotte, especially the cardiac surgical team, now has a remote monitoring platform where they're sending patients home with digital remote monitoring devices and are showing some phenomenal outcomes. This is an average patient with the Charlotte Heart Group that gets continuous monitoring when they go home. And by continuous monitoring, I only mean right now they get continuous check-ins, they get continuous messages, they're able to continuously record their surgical wounds and vital signs and send it back. So it's not even continuous vital signs, it's a continuous check-in. And the provider can look at everything. Provider can look at their blood pressure of their patients and vital signs and look at trends across time and other patients. And most importantly, the remote monitoring platform that our colleagues in Charlotte have used has shown a 44% reduction in 30-day readmissions and mortality, right? So really tells you that some very basic remote monitoring at home, not even continuous vital signs all the time, just a basic set of vital signs that can be conveyed back to a provider along with a video visit, along with some check-in on the patient, will go a huge way in terms of improving outcomes for our patients. So I love this acronym. It's called the WARD in terms of what the appropriate wireless wearable technology should be. So it should be wearable and wireless and accurate and affordable, robust and reliable data, and should focus around the constraints of a hospital ward. So it would be appropriately designed, and then the data itself should be set so alarm burden should be minimized. And I think that's where AI will come in a big way in the robust data connectivity, reliability of detection of a clinical event, and then cleaning the data and making it useful in terms of an alarm burden. Frederick Michard says we don't really need more reasons for continuous monitoring. I've already highlighted most of these, right? Intermittent spot checks are bad. ICU beds are at a minimum. Opioid-induced respiratory depression is a huge issue. There's a global nursing shortage in all hospital care areas. Complications after high-risk surgery are increasing, and we are taking care of more frailer and older patients with higher acuities on the hospital ward. So it's really a no-brainer.
Thank you for listening. This is the conclusion of the Acute Care and Wearable Technology podcast series. Please tune in to other series from Medtronic MedEd Learning Experience wherever you find your podcast.